How did you feel about your father?
My father and I never had a good relationship. I always preferred my mother over him because she was always a better storyteller. I loved him like any child would, but once he was exiled and I converted to Christianity, he disowned me.
Did you have any negative feelings toward your father when you found out he disowned you?
I wouldn't call what I had hard feelings, but more sadness. I knew it would happen, but I would hope I got even the least bit of support from him because he is my father.
Why did you convert to Christianity?
I was not satisfied with the rough traditions and Okonkwo's expectations, so I was drawn to Christianity knowing their love and compassion messages.
How did you feel when Ikemefuna was executed?
Ikemefuna's death was a traumatic experience for me and changed the way I thought of my father. It was one of the biggest turning points in my relationship with him.
Why do you think you prefer the animal stories told by your mother over the war stories told by your father?
I preferred my mother's stories because they were less violent and less about bloodshed. This is mainly because I think her stories taught me lessons of right and wrong, while my father's stories taught me what he believed was right. However, I did pretend to prefer my father's stories because he thought if I didn't, I was less masculine than he wanted me to be, which is why I don't want to seem sensitive by favoring those of my mother.
How does it feel to lead a different life from your father and have different beliefs?
It isn't necessarily something I enjoy. However, I believe I made the right decision, leading a happier and more fulfilling life with Christianity. Over time, I realized many of his beliefs followed the person he wanted to become, someone who is strong and confident, rather than showing weakness. But I don't think this way of thinking is ideal. He is free to live how he wants, but to follow the life of happiness I want to lead, I need to be able to make my own decisions without any negative input from my father.
Do you think you are stronger and more masculine than your father viewed you to be?
I think that I am still strong and masculine, maybe just not in the way that he wants me to be. I began to act more masculine to please my father, but I think our ideas of strength and masculinity are too different to be compared, especially since I find masculinity and strength within more peaceful values, while my father finds strength in violence.
What was your reaction to hearing that your father committed suicide?
Though death is tragic, I did not take the death of my father to mind or let it affect me. This isn't necessarily because I don't care about death, but rather his rejection of my choices and disowning me made it difficult to grieve over his death, especially considering his actions in the past. Because of this, I don't find this significant and think that if he were to consider my change in faith as something acceptable rather than something that didn't fit his standards and traditions, the death would have been more of an emotional effect on me.
What are your plans for the future?
After being disregarded for my choice of religion, I believe it is best to separate from my family and those who do not accept me and start a new beginning. I hope to pursue my interest in becoming Christian and take no notice of those who view my switch in faith as a betrayal.
How did you interact with the other villagers on a daily basis after you became a Christian?
Once I converted to Christianity, the interactions with people from my clan who were not Christian were very minimal. On the other hand, the people in the church who were Christian were always communicating with me and other believers. It is honestly unbelievable because before Christianity was a thing, there was no animosity among us, but now because of the simple religion, I can't talk to my neighbor.